Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be showing you how to make this animation in Maya. Okay, so first I'm going to search for a picture of my map. So let's see which picture I would like to take. Let's take this one. Right click, save it in your desktop. And then let's go to Maya. Let's create a new project. And now how do we bring that image in the viewport? So we can click this button right here, but we actually want it to look at it from the top. So what you will do is press space once. And after you press space, it will show you 4 different views. We have the perspective, top, front, and side. So if I click on let's say a torus, for example, we have the perspective view, which we can control it freely. We have the top view, which we can only go left or right or up and down. We can't change the perspective like we do here. We have the front view, which is like here, and same thing here. We can go up left and right and up and down, and same thing in the side view. If we go here, it's from the right, so this is the side view. So we want our map to be from here, so we're gonna go to the top, and to select this view, press space, hover your mouse over it and press space to go inside it. And you can press space again, and if you want to go back to the perspective, you can click space again and go back to the perspective. So I'm gonna go to the top view, which you can see the name is right here. Click space, and then I'm gonna insert a plane. So click on this button right here to insert an image, and navigate to the picture you just saved. Alright, now we have our image plane. Let me just delete this torus. So let's scale it up. Let's say until this number is like 15. So we have a nice big resolution for our map. And you can turn off the grid by clicking this button right here, so we don't have to look at it. Okay, now what we will do is trace over it. So let's go to the curves. And we have multiple curves available, but I think my favorite one is the Bezier curve tool. So let's click on it. You can create curves or straight lines with this tool. And let's just basically trace over our map. So I'm just gonna click and then click and drag. It's basically like you've used a pen tool before in Photoshop or Illustrator. It's the same thing. Okay, so just click and drag and trace over your map. Take your time with it. And then once you get to around your first point, don't click on the first point, just click close to it like this. And to close this, what you will do is press Q or go to the selection tool right here, click the selection tool, then hold shift and right click, and you will get these options. And let's choose open close curves. This will close your curve for you. Let's also draw over this map part. And again, once you get close to your point, don't go over it. Just go to the selection tool, hold shift, right click, and then open close curves. So you can close the curves. Okay, now it's closed. Alright, now we have our curves. We can select our image plane and delete it or hide it. Control H to hide and delete to delete. So now we have our nice map. So we can select our map like this and then to extrude it. So right now we're in the top view. Let's go to the perspective view so you can have a better look. And you can see it straight like this. What you will do is go to surfaces and then let's choose bevel plus. So click on this box right here besides bevel plus, and this is the default settings. So if we just click bevel or just apply, we will get this option right here. It's good enough, but let's see if I can make it better. So in the extrude distance, we can increase the distance to make it deeper. Alright. And if you don't want the bevels, you can do Ctrl Z to go back to the curves and get rid of the bevels. So we don't have bevels anymore. So this is without bevels and this is with bevels. Okay, I think I'm gonna keep bevels on, and let's do the same thing for this curve right here. Select it. You can click here to select it. Okay, make sure you only select one curve. If you select two curves and press apply, it will give you an error. So you can only do one curve at a time. And let's just click apply, where we get our curves. For some reason it's above the normal, so I'm gonna press W and move it down. Alright, that's good enough. We can hide the grid. So now let's texture it. So let's close, and I'm gonna click here and then right click, assign favorite material, and I'm gonna do standard surface. And now we can select any color we would like. Or if you want, we can click this checker box right here and select an image, or we can even do a ramp to have a nice gradient. So it's not showing right now. Why? Because we need to enable textures. So let's enable textures. And make sure right now it's VRAM, which basically goes from top to bottom. We can see the gradient here. If we want it to go horizontally, we will just select URAM. Alright. And let's see, I'm gonna do 3 colors. So you can click this circle to move the colors around. And if you don't want a color, you can just click on this square right here and it will delete the color. And if you want to add a new color, you can just click anywhere in here, click, and then just drag the new color around, and you can choose a different color. So Oman flag colors are red, white, and green, so I'm gonna do red, white, and green. So I'm gonna select red in here, and then I'm gonna select green in here, like a darker green. Okay. I think I'm gonna do it the other way around. Actually do like the white in the middle. And you can even do it, the interpolation you can do none if you just want solid colors. And let's select this part right here and assign new material, assign favorite material and click standard surface. And let's choose the green color, the same green color. We can click on this picker tool and select this green color right here. Assign standard surface. Choose the picker tool and choose the same color. Alright. Okay, that looks good enough. And now let's add some lights. Arnold lights, sky dome light. Beside color, click the checker box. Click file. Navigate to your HRI files. Think I'm going to choose maybe this sunset one. Alright. And I think it needs more extrusion. So what we can do is go to the bevel plus and increase the extrusion to maybe like 8. Okay, that's good enough. And same thing here, let's do 8. Let's change the pivot of this. So the pivot is up like this one. So to change the pivot, hold D and then hold V as well. So D and V and drag it up. So as you can see, it created a mess for us. So what we can do first, before we move it, we can go to poly modeling, center pivot, delete the history. Deleting history will just delete all of these tabs that we don't need and will make our computer faster. And also freeze transformation. And now if we try to move the pivot, so D and V, it will work. Actually just hold D. And now we can drag it down. Okay. And now we're just gonna add some text. So to add text, what we do is just click on this T button right here. Underneath poly modeling, click on it. And we will get some text. We can type anything we would like. I'm gonna write maybe Oman. We can choose the alignment either to the left, center, or right. And we can choose any font we would like. I'm gonna choose my favorite font, Marble Round. Okay. And then let's go over these real quick. So font size, we have how big or how small it is. We have tracking, how far the letters are from each other. Kerning scale is the same thing. Leading scale is basically if you have 2 lines. Okay, how much distance between these 2 lines are. Let's go to geometry now. Curve resolution. So what is curve resolution? Is basically, do you see this letter O right here, we can see these lines around it, so we can increase the resolution so we don't see the lines anymore, or we can decrease it to have more of a stylized look. Let's scroll down. We have extrude distance is how much extrusion you would like. Extrude divisions, how many subdivides on the extrusion. We have bevel, basically if you want beveled edges. And that's it, that's all the important stuff. And then we have texturing. Let's click on texturing and standard surface. We can click on this button right here besides the standard surface to dive into the shader. We can select any color that we would like. We can increase the roughness, make it more metallic, enable the lights, shadows, and ambient inclusion. And now we have some nice light reflections. Okay, so now the fun part. So let's click on our type mesh again, and then we can navigate to type 1. And let's click on animation and enable animates. So how does animation work again? So let's see. We can animate characters, animate word, or animate lines. Alright. So enable to have an animation, we need to have 2 keyframes. Okay, let's say a keyframe at frame 1 and another keyframe at frame, let's see, maybe frame 30. So I'm gonna drag my time to frame 30, okay. And to set a key, just click set key, and if you click it, they'll turn red. That means these values are keyframe, and you will also get a red line in here in the timeline, which means if we scroll to this line, we have a keyframe animation. So we told Maya at frame 30, we want the word to be a scale of 1, rotation of 0, translate of 0. So let's also tell Maya, maybe in frame 1, we want the scale to be 0. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to the scale and make all of them 0. So 0, 0, and 0. And then to set the keyframe, don't forget to click set keys. They need to be red and enable for it to work. So let's click set keys. And now our word has a scale of 0. So now we have 2 keyframes. We have a keyframe at frame 1 and a keyframe at frame 30. Let's look at our animation. Now our animation is going from scale 0 to scale 1. Alright, so again, this red keyframe is the letters are 0, and in this keyframe the letters are 1. So it goes from 0 to 1. And make sure we have real time enabled. So right click on the timeline, go to playback speed and select real time. Okay, so this is animating characters. You can select word if you would like to have all of them together. Okay, so this is how it would look like if it was just if you select word, and I actually prefer characters, so I'm gonna do characters. So we can add more to the animation. So right now we're only adjusting the scale values. So if we go to the first frame, you'll see the scales are zeros. And if we move, you see how they will increase all the way to 1. Okay, in here. So let's also tell it, maybe we want the letters to come from down. So we have 0. I'm just gonna change 0 to maybe minus 20. And then press set keys. And let's look at our animation. So now the letters are coming from minus 20 to 0. We can also tell it we want the letters to rotate. So from rotation Y of like 360 to 0. So set keys. Now our letters are also rotating. Pretty cool. We can move this word up. Let's say maybe here. And we can increase the frames. Right now we only have 200 frames. Let's say I wanna do 2000 frames, so we have enough space. Let's change it to 2000, press enter. This will extend the timeline. And to extend it here as well, just click here and extend it. And you can move it all the way to 2000. Alright, now let's say I also want to do an animation there. So I can just I can't do duplicate. So if I do Control D, I won't get the type options in here. So what we can do is do Control C and then Control V to copy paste, and we will get this group. We can open it in here and our copy will be inside. So you can move our copy here, and we will also get the type, the type settings. Let's maybe change it to mascot, and the U looks like a V, so I'm just gonna go to geometry and increase the curve resolution. Alright, and then I'm just gonna press R to scale it down, and maybe move it here. Maybe scale it down even more. Move it up. Rotate it. So if you look at our animations, these two animations are doing the same thing, starting at the same time. So I want to move the keyframes of this a bit further in the timeline. So to do that, go to your type settings, go to animation, and you will see the red lines in the timeline. So to move these keyframes, what you will do is hold shift and the left mouse button and drag. So hold shift and drag like this. Okay, and you will need to select these two keyframes. So hold shift and left mouse button and drag to select all of them until they're both white, and just go here and drag them further into the timeline to maybe frame 100. So now if we look, we have Oman shown going up first, and then the mascot word should show up later. Let's say we also have a landmark in here we want to animate. We can click on this cube right here to use it as an example. Let's scale it up. And let's change its pivot point. So right now, if I scale it, it's scaling from the center. So to change its pivot point, hold down D. Okay, hold D, and it will change to this, and also hold V. So hold D and V, and just move it down like this, and that's it. Now the pivot is at the bottom. So before you rotate your object, make sure you go to poly modeling and delete history and freeze transformation, because if you have a lot of tabs and deformers open in here, it will slow down your computer and it will maybe give you weird results. So let's delete time, but make sure you don't need these tabs anymore. Okay, so delete history and freeze transformation. This will give you a clean start to start animating. So now I'm gonna animate this cube the same way I animated the words, but for the objects, actually a different way to animate them. So to animate objects like this, let's go to the channel box right here. If you don't know, I'm using the general workspace. So let's click on the channel box right here. Again, we have the channel box, the attribute editor, and the modeling toolkit. So let's go to the channel box and let's see. So the word mascot comes up here. So here I want the cube to be 0. So I'm gonna go to the scales and make them 0. But before I do that, let's see. I'm gonna go to frame 250 and I want these values to be keyframed. So all I need to do is just press S, not here. So select your cube and press S, and this will keyframe all of these values. And let's see. So we have the second keyframe here, and we're gonna make the first keyframe. So the first keyframe, I want it to be here, let's say. And let's change these values to 0. So 0, 0, 0. And to set the keyframe again, press S, and it will set a keyframe for us. Let's click play and see what happens. Okay, now we have a nice scale animation. Let's go back to the first keyframe. Okay. Select our box and go back to the first keyframe. Let's say we also want it to rotate in Y, so I'm gonna do 316 here and then press S to keyframe it. And let's play our animation. And now it slowly it rotates and scales up. I also wanted to start rotating, but slowly this time. So what I'm gonna do is, let's see, so I can go to the last frame right here, maybe frame 2000, and set like a high rotation value. Let's say maybe 500, or actually minus 500, because I went from 360 to 0, and I need to go the same direction. So I'm gonna do minus 500 and then press S, and let's go back, click and drag this this box right here until you go back to your first frames, and then let's click play. And now we have a nice slow rotation. So if your rotation afterwards is too fast, you can lower the number. If it's too slow, you can increase the number. Alright, now I'm going to duplicate these. So I'm gonna do Control D to duplicate the box and maybe move it here and make it smaller. And then I'm also gonna select our text and do Control C and Control V, and then we will get it into this group. We can move it here. And let's maybe go inside the group and select our object in here and go inside it again and select our text. And we can type Nezwa, which is another state in Oman, another city. Alright, now let's look at our animation, maybe move it up more. And let's see. So they're going at the same time, so I'm going to shift the animation of this. So let's go back to type 1 tab and then click on animation, and we will see the red lines in here. So if we zoom in, and we can only see one red line, so let's move this box right here until we can see two. And now let's hold shift again and left mouse button and drag to select both of them until both of them are white color, and just drag it to the right. Maybe around here. And now it will show after we have a look at this box right here. Maybe I want to have more time to look at this landmark, so I'm gonna shift the time again further, hold shift, mouse click, and move it to the right more. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for the box. So click on the box, and where are the keyframes? Let's see. Okay, and since we did Control D, sometimes it doesn't transfer over the keyframes. So what we can do is either animate it again ourselves manually, or if you want a faster, easier way, is you can select this cube right here. And as you can see, we have two keyframes, one here and one here. We can hold shift and select them, and then right click and copy. And then go here, click on this box right here, and then you can do the same thing in the timeline. So right click and paste the keyframes. And so we pasted the keyframes, but it went this way. Why? Because it has the same. We've also animated the translate values, so we can just go to the first frame. Actually, go here and just move it all the way here. R to scale it down. Actually, you want to scale it down in the keyframe. Okay, so if we move the timeline, it will go back. So what we will need to do is delete the keyframes, the translate values. So right click and let's do delete selected, delete selected, delete selected. And now it won't move anywhere because the translate values are not keyframed. And we can put it here. I think it's better to do it manually so you can practice how to animate things in Maya. Let's scale it down here. And then don't forget to press S to lock in the scale. And we can do the same thing. We can go to the last frame and add rotation in the Y axis. So I'm gonna do like minus 500 and press S. And now if you go back, we have our rotation. Hopefully this is not too complicated. And you can of course add textures to your objects. And of course you can add any textures or materials to your objects. Okay, now let's add a camera. So to create a camera, first let's click here. Okay, so this button right here, so you can see our margins. Yeah, the first frame I think will be here. Okay, let's create a new camera, so we can go to view and create camera from view. This will create a camera from our current view. And we have our new camera perspective 1. Let's rename it to maybe camera 1. Alright. So let's say we start from here. Alright, so make sure you select your camera and then go to the channel box, and we can press of course S to keyframe the camera movement. And let's say now we want to go down to the mascot word. So let's go down. Maybe I want to frame our camera here. And then you can press S. Alright, very good. And then let's see. So, and then here I'm gonna press S again. Actually, I'm gonna press S and move our camera back here so we can see the word as well. And make sure you press S again to keyframe these values. So now we have this animation. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I don't want it to keep going to the back. I want it to stay here for a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is press S here without moving anything. And then now we have two keyframes here to here. I'm gonna make these longer, so I'm gonna select the second keyframe and move it to the right. And let's look at our camera animation now. Okay, maybe it's too fast, so I'm gonna move it here more. Okay, let's look at our animation now. So let's say I want to move the camera up a little bit. So it's coming from top, press S. I think it's too zoomed in, so let's go back a little bit. And press S. And then let's say here I want it to go inside the letter A. So let's move around the timeline, and I'm gonna go up and just zoom inside our letter here, and then press S. And let's look at our animation now. Okay, very good. Maybe it's too fast, so I'm gonna start it a bit early. And maybe in the first frame, I'm gonna be zoomed in a little bit, and press S. And of course you can animate the camera however you would like. This is just the way I'm gonna do it. And maybe let's end the video here at frame 515. I'm gonna press S, and then I'm gonna move to frame 550 and just move the camera down. Or actually, I'm gonna move it back. Like this. From press S. It's too fast, so I'm just gonna move the last keyframe a bit down the timeline to maybe 665. About here. So this is our last keyframe, 666. I think that's all. Let's see how it renders. So I'm gonna go to Arnold and render. So if you have this texturing issue, what you can do is select your map, and I'm gonna select our other map and combine them. So I'm gonna do hold shift and right click and go to combine. So now they're combined, and now we can go to mesh and retopologize. Click on it and click retopologize, ignoring continue. Alright, that's it. So now I'm just gonna right click, assign an existing material. So it's the same material that we made earlier, so I think it might be this one. No, let's just make a new material. So assign fit material and standard surface, and let's go to color and choose a ramp. So I'm just gonna go to the UV editing, select our map, click top to look at it from the top view, and then I'm gonna click create and camera paste. And now we should have the issue fixed. Let's go back to general workspace, go to object mode and select our map, and go all the way back to ramp. You click here to go to the ramp settings, and let's choose our colors. So I'm gonna do white, red, red in here, click done, and then let's do green in here. Okay, that looks good enough. Let's see how it looks like in the render view. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, any final touches we would like to add? Let's see. I would like to add a plane, maybe some water in here. So I'm gonna click on the plane, scale it up, move it down a little bit, and then go to the channel box, polyplane, and increase the subdivisions to maybe 200 by 200. And to add a water shader, let's just right click, assign new material, click surface, and choose ocean shader. And now to have a water simulation, what we will do is go to Windows, setting and preferences, plugin manager, and let's search for the word boss. Okay, so turn on loaded and auto load besides the boss bundle, and let's close. And now let's go to the FX menus, and you should have a boss menu in here. Let's click on it, click boss and boss editor. Make sure your plane is selected, and all we need to do is just click this water, this blue button right here, and now we can close, and it should have made some water for us. If we go back to the first frame, make sure you save in case it crashes. So let's play, and now we have some nice water animation. It is a bit small, so what we can do is increase the size. Okay, let's see how it looks like in the render view. Okay, for some reason it's this pink color, so let's right click on it, assign new material, go to surface and ocean shader. Let's see if it still has the same. Okay, let's right click on it, assign a new material, let's go to, let's just use a standard surface and let's see how it looks like now. Okay, now it looks fixed. Let's make the roughness 0 and make the color a bluish color. And we can increase that transmission. And maybe increase the, no, actually I'm gonna keep it. What if we decrease the opacity, what will happen? Okay, so yeah, transmission and color. Let's see, let's try to choose the transmission color. Yep. Okay, this looks good. Okay, let's go back to our camera, so perspective camera 1. And let's see how this animation looks like. And we can go to Arnold and render and dock this in here. And just make sure every shot looks okay. So this one looks okay, this one looks okay, this looks okay, looks fine, okay. Alright, now we can just render this sequence. So 960 by 540, we can go to the render settings. In the file name, we can type anything like, let's say, Oman. Image format, let's choose PNG. Frame animation extension, let's choose name #.extension. Frame range, we want to start from frame 1 to frame 666. Which will be camera 1. So we don't need the perspective camera, so I'm just gonna delete it. We only need the camera 1 that we created. And the resolution, we can choose any resolution we would like. I'm gonna do 540 so it's faster to render. If your computer can handle higher resolution, you can do HD. If it can't, you can choose a lower resolution. That's it. Now we can close the render settings. Go to the rendering menu, click render, and let's choose render sequence. Click the box besides render sequence, choose camera 1, and let's choose where we'd like to save it. Let's create a new folder and let's call it Oman render version 1. Go inside it and click select. And that should be all. Now we can render, sequence, and close.
One eternity later.
Alright, it just finished rendering. It took like 2 hours. And now we have 666 images rendered. So now we want to turn all these images into a video. So we will go into a software like Premiere Pro, make a new project, and then go to the project panel and click import media or double click. and then navigate to your pictures. And then let's go to our first frame. So it will be frame 1, 10001. And make sure you check image sequences on. Okay, it's the same thing in Windows, and then click import. And now it just Premiere Pro automatically made a video for you. So if we double click it and play, we can see our video. Alright, let's drag it into the timeline. And before we export it, we would like to add some music and sound effects. So we can go to a website like pixabay.com, which has lots of free sound effects. So for music, I'm going to type something like Middle Eastern music and click enter, and make sure you go here and select music, and you can go through these different options and click download. And I also want a swoosh sound effect for the camera movement, so I'm gonna type swoosh and select sound effects instead, and just download any swoosh sound and click download. Now I can select both of my media and drag them into the project panel. Okay, let's drag the music first, so we can click and drag it here. It's gonna be too long, so we can either trim it like this, or a better, smoother way is to use the remix tool. So let's click and hold here and go to the remix tool, which will use AI to shorten a music piece. Let's move it all the way here, and you can see it's analyzing, and it will shorten the music down. And maybe towards the end we can add a nice fade, so we can right click and apply default transition to have the camera fade nicely. And let's see, let's also add a swoosh here, so when geometry is passing by the camera, we should hear a swoosh sound for more realistic sound effects. Alright, after you're done, you can move your time to the last frame, let's say when the music ends, and you can press this button, mark out, to have only this range be exported, and then you can click export here. You can name it anything in here. Let's do, for the format, let's choose H.264, and let's do adaptive high bitrate, and we're done. And that's it. And this is the finished results.